All right, what's up, everyone? This is Kirk here again at Option Alpha, and welcome to this week's workshop on how to find new trade ideas. Hopefully, this will be a good deep dive for you on our newest tool that we built for you all. So today I wanted to deep dive into this, show you a couple different ways that you can do it, give you some good ideas, hopefully. Also try to help you understand how to potentially think about using bots and automations in conjunction with your trade ideas and how you kind of put all this stuff together. So this is going to be squarely focused on trade ideas and how we can kind of plug trade ideas into bots and even expand trade ideas around bots and automations and plugging in more monitor automations for you all. Linked up in this after we get done, or if you're watching the recording right now in the future, we will have a couple templates that I'll post to the community, which will be just good, I hope, templates to kind of get your mind working with a couple different things that you can do with hybrid trading and trade ideas. So I'll post those to the community once we're done here today and we get the recording and everything out. If you're watching this recording, they're probably already on the website or linked wherever this video that you're watching is right now. All right, so let's kick it off here. First of all, we'll go through a couple just really quick slides here that I put together for you guys because I think that this is always helpful as we get started. All right, so first things first, workshop overview. The goals for this workshop, I want to show you how the new Trade Ideas tool works to help you hopefully find better trading opportunities faster and using a data-driven approach. And the key word here is tool. The Trade Ideas like mini app inside of Option Alpha now is a tool. Will it solve all of your problems? Absolutely. I'm just kidding. It will not solve all your problems, but it's a tool you can use to help you find new trade ideas or to help you uncover different things you could do or different ways that you could trade. It will not solve all your problems, but what we've heard forever is we've heard with users and you guys are traders that I don't know what to do. I don't know what to trade. I don't know how it works, or I'd like something that would help me. So we built this tool, okay? I'm going to work through multiple examples and ideas around filtering and sorting trade ideas so you can kind of get a feel for how it works. It's potentially, some of the ways that I kind of think about using it. We're going to enter some live trades. We'll see if they can fill, try to enter some trades here today together. One of the coolest things that I think that Trade Ideas does is it helps, especially if you're a new trader and you're starting to get started and acclimated with auto trading, is it helps bridge the gap. That's why I keep saying all the time is that it helps bridge the gap, and you can manually find a trade that you're comfortable with, and then you can automatically manage that back end. The last thing that we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how we can combine trade ideas with existing bots and do some extra / situational monitor automations on top of the existing exit options. This is what I don't see a lot of people doing yet. You may be doing this right now. Probably some of you more advanced guys and girls in here might be doing that already. But what I want you to start thinking about critically is how can you take trade ideas and 1 minute exit options and then start layering on top of that some extra advanced situational monitor automations. This is what I'm going to give you guys as a template and help, I hope that this sparks a lot of creativity for you. So we're going to do some basic stuff and then we'll start to gradually get to some more advanced stuff as we go. What is Trade Ideas and how does it work? The problem, I think this is really what it ultimately comes down to, okay? The problem that I've seen consistently, and I have this too myself, like I trade some pretty religious strategies that are auto trading. But most of the time, if I'm struggling to find a good trade, it's often because I'm doing some sort of gut instinct or hunch, and I'm rarely doing anything on data and probabilities when I'm just like hunting and gathering. The analogy I've used forever is what I see a lot of traders do, and I used to do myself, is you come into the market in, the morning, right? The market opens up and you kind of run into the market like a savage caveman, cavewoman, and you're just hunting and gathering and trying to figure out can I find something to trade? And you're just throwing stuff against the wall. Maybe you're like, let me try this. Let me look at this possible trade, right? But we can only do that so much. We can only check so many tickers. We can only check pricing and mock up trades so many times, right? Have you guys ever done this where you mock up a bunch of trades. You're like, all right, let me check the 30 delta, $5 wide spread, 3 days from expiration, right? We can only do that so much. So the problem is we all together, because we're all traders here, we struggle to find good ideas and we end up leaning on hunches and gut instincts, stuff like that. And if you look like this, that's probably how we all feel. I've been like this, right? Like, I love this picture. Like, this is how we probably feel when we're coming up with trade ideas. If somebody was to ask us, like, hey, what's your trade idea? How'd you come up with it? We'd probably throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and make some circles and lines. Like, this is how I came up with it, right? Like, I have no idea how I came up with it. There's no rhyme or reason. I have no clue. It just kind of came up. So here's the possible solution, right? Or at least a tool that uses real-time market data to pre-calculate and rank millions of potential option spread combinations. Now, I'm literally going through this really slow because I want you to understand how powerful this is on the back end. Every minute, the Trade Ideas tool is recalculating millions of potential combinations. The $1 wide spread, the $2 wide spread, the $5 wide spread, the 30 delta and the 15 delta, the 30 delta and the 20 delta, right? Like, it's ranking and crunching all these numbers every single minute for you. And then that database is basically accessible for you to go through and rank and sort and filter and find different ideas. And it does move really fast. Like, when we say it ranks every minute, it means that from this minute to the next minute, it could be completely different data. Like yesterday, if you saw after Powell was speaking, right, which is always this market moving event, that as soon as he started speaking in remarks, I mean, the table was sorting completely different every single minute, and that's okay. But the tool is there to do the hard, heavy lifting, or at least most of the heavy lifting for you, of crunching the numbers and trying to surface better opportunities that might be acceptable to you. Okay, so that's what we kind of developed, and we put together, our team developed it and put together. It's amazing. The benefit to you then is hopefully you feel more confident with your next idea. Your next idea is not, gosh, I hope this works. This is like a blind shot in the dark. No, like, we want you to trade on probabilities because we think that's good for you. We think it's good for us. We think generally for humanity, it's probably better for traders to start trading on numbers and math and probabilities. Now, are those perfect? Like, are they always going to work out? If it says 80% chance of success, does it mean it's 100% chance of success? No, it means that it's a better shot than just 50-50 in the dark. And you can build positions with automated exits. So management is 100% taken care of, and it reduces the risk of making poor emotional decisions. How many people have ever done that? It's right. Like, be honest, like, every single person here, raise your hand. If you've never done that, you've never traded a day in your life, we've all made emotional decisions. And so the goal is, how can we remove ourselves as much as possible from those emotional decisions? When you load up trade ideas, what's going to happen is that our database is crunching the numbers on millions and millions of combinations of spreads and opportunities for you. And it happens every minute. So the last time that I refreshed the screen before I jumped on with you guys was 12:56. So literally every single minute it's going to update. So the last updated now on the new data here was pulled at 109. You can always see that last updated price. Now, it only updates between 9:35 and 3:55 Eastern time on market days. We do not start ranking stuff in the last 5 minutes or the first 5 minutes of the day, because that's when volatility and pricing is starting to come in and come out. So we cap it at those ends, okay? So, but it does update everything every 1 minute between there. And of course, only symbols that are supported on Option Alpha. We're not going to run symbols that are not supported. We also do some filtering of like low liquidity symbols that don't have a lot of open interest and don't have enough data to really make a good go at this. So there is some filtering here where some symbols don't do trade ideas. Inside of this list, if you have no filters whatsoever, you can then start ranking and sorting everything by things like max profit. This is the entire database at this 1 minute mark. Max loss, max reward. You can go back and forth. You can do probability of profit, You can do the lowest probability of profit thing to the highest probability of profit thing, right? So you can do that. You can use alpha rank, which I'll talk about here in a second. You can use IV rank. You can use earnings. You can use the number of traders. Okay, so I'll go through these here in a second, but you can sort this entire list. That is everything that is available to sort. And by the way, if you ever wanted to, you can just scroll down and just keep loading to your heart's content until you find that perfect idea. Okay, so there is no limit here to how much engagement you can do on trade ideas. There's no limit on you can only see 2 a day or 3 a month or whatever. No, it's just full blown. Here's everything for you. You guys are the traders. You make your decisions. Let me go through these categories here of things you can do and how they work, and then we'll start doing some more filtering. So position is pretty simple, intuitive. It's the ticker symbol and the position that it's analyzing. The leg and delta. This is pretty cool because what you can see here is the actual legs that were developed out of the trade ideas or came out of the database, and the delta of that particular leg rounded to the nearest 2 decimals, right? So right here, you can see, and let me just for a second type in something like SPY. See, on SPY, we analyzed a short put spread, the 393 and 398, and the 363 and the 378. Those are kind of came to the top of the list for this particular sorting. Then you got your days to expiration. This is how many days they are until expiration. If you hover over the 2 days or 9 days or 72 days, you can see the exact expiration date for this contract that came out of trade ideas, okay? Max profit sounds like what it is. It is the maximum profit using the midpoint of the spread at this exact time, okay? Now, max profit can shift and change depending on how you get into the trade or what price you get into the trade, right? So obviously, this is the max profit at midpoint of the spread. So if you're looking at a spread that's really wide, for example, on a position, and we'll go through this, then what you might see is you might see a slightly different max profit based on where you fill the trade. But this is just data for the trade using midpoint, which is the most logical as we start to pull this around, okay? Then you get max loss, again, same thing, based on the spread width less the credit. So if you fill for a different price or you try a different price, those might be slightly different. Risk to reward is a really simple one. How much are you risking? How much are you possibly making in return? So that gives you a good guidepost. It's like, okay, do I want the highest risk to reward trades? Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the highest risk to reward trades have some of the lowest probabilities of success, right? And vice versa. Maybe some of the lowest risk to reward trades have some of the highest probabilities, but you don't make as much money, right? So there's this trade-off that happens in trading, right? That's why I think they call it trading, right? Because you're having to make this balance between risk and reward to find something that works for you. Probability of profit. This is a really important one, okay? So we show you exactly how we calculate probability of profit in our tech docs. It's based on the Black-Scholes model, which uses the normal distribution graph, right? Which is imperfect. There's no other perfect way to do it. That's probably the most logical, the most accurate that we have mathematically to do it. So look, probability of profit is the probability of making $1 on the position. If you get into positions that are very short days to expiration, those probability of profits are going to shift very quickly because it's a short duration trade, right? There's very little time to go. And that means that very small underlying moves are going to create a magnified or amplified effect on probability of profit. So when you look at probabilities here, the probability that's displayed, the pop that's displayed in the column, this is probability of making $1 on the position at expiration using normal distribution, Black-Scholes pricing model, right? So we calculate those break evens, and then what's the probability of making $1 on the position? Now, if you hover over the probabilities, you'll see that you have other probabilities we calculate, like the probability of max profit or the probability of max loss. Those are all really, really important ones too, right? Those are all really important to know. So if you wanted to get more info, you could hover over those and see those before you click on it. Next column over is alpha. Okay, so alpha is our own proprietary indicator that we developed. It's the only one right now. So I just said this after I said everything is open and transparent, right? But it's the only one right now that we haven't released the ranking and formula for, because we're still massaging it and trying to see how it works and putting data into it. But you can basically look at alpha as a way to try to consolidate the information into a ranking mechanism, right? So that's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to consolidate all the information like max profit and max loss and risk reward and break evens and probability of profit into hopefully some sort of coherent single ranking mechanism that takes those into account. Some people have said maybe it's kind of like a pseudo expected outcome ranking. You could kind of see it like that too if you wanted to, but the higher the alpha in our model that we have, the better that the potential position is. That doesn't mean it's great or perfect or that it will win every time, so don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. But the higher the alpha ends up being, the better the position is. So some positions might have zero alpha, but that doesn't mean that you can't trade it. Some people are already trading it, right? But that doesn't mean that it's bad or good. It just means that the way that we calculate it, it's a lower ranked position compared to other ones. IV rank's pretty intuitive. Earnings are really important. So when you hover over earnings, this is a really cool one. And we do some cool things visually here that I think help out, which is that we turn anything that has an expiration after earnings are announced into red in this column. So for example, Disney announces earnings today. This position that I'm looking at is expiring in 2 days, which means that it's announcing or it's expiring after the earnings are reported. So does that mean that it's a 100% bad trade and you should not take that trade? Absolutely not. We just made these red so that you know intuitively, just visually looking here, that this trade is going to transcend that actual earnings announcement. So in this case, you can see this ABBV announces earnings in 1 day, but the position still expires in two days, okay? If you go further down for positions, I probably can't get some here, but let's do earnings here. So this one is JD, which announces earnings in 22 days, but these contracts right here expire before earnings. You see that? So that is not turned red. Then you can see that that position, although earnings are coming up, this particular set of contracts will not be impacted by that particular earnings event. Like you're not going to trade through that earnings event. Last column over here is traders. So this is a really cool one. Somebody asked before, is this all traders in the world? No, we have no way of knowing what that data is. This is just option alpha traders. So as more people come onto the platform, as more people use the platform, we thought it'd be cool just to throw out there a metric of like how many traders have this position on in a bot. So you can see that the traders, the position right now, and this could literally update as we're going and ebb and shift, and you'll see these numbers shift through the day. There are 811 people on the platform right now with a position, with this position on in a bot. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, truly, like, I don't know if that really is good or bad. It could be great. It could be a leading indicator. It could be a lagging indicator. They could have gotten it in at different points, right? This position is 72 days from expiration. So there's no way of knowing, like in here, how many of those, they could have all been added today and one person had it before yesterday, right? So that's really cool. It's a really cool thing just to see what people are doing. Some people have used it as like the opposing indicator where they look for a lot of people trading it or not a lot of people trading it. However you want to use it, it's up to you. Again, it's a tool. We give you the data and just kind of show you what people are doing and what you all are doing collectively in there. Next one. This one's really fun. And this one is, to me, where the rubber starts meeting the road and you guys can start filtering and analyzing this moving forward, is when you can start to apply filters. So here's how I think about using filters, okay? I think about using filters for lots of different combinations, but the one that I would use if I were you all is I would set up my watch list, which you can do right on the home screen. Set up my watch list, and the easiest thing to do is come in here and click the button here to filter all ideas for just those on your watch list. That's it. That's the easiest thing. Like for me, I don't necessarily care. Anybody who knows me would know this, right? I don't care about Disney and ABB and Cisco or Costco, Cisco, whatever. I don't care about making trades in those. I'm pretty religious about trading mostly ETFs, if ever a here and there like single stock trade, okay? Now, that's just me. Set up your watch list for whatever you want. Come here and click watch list. Then you get all the ideas cut to just your watch list. Only your watch list. That's a super easy, huge win that you can go through. Okay, now you're working from a very consolidated list. Okay, so that's one way you could do it. The other way that you could do it is you could do bullish, bearish, neutral. That's pretty easy. Are you bullish right now on anything, like anything in your watch list? You're looking for a bullish trade? Great. Click watch list, then click bullish, and that now only is going to look at short put spreads essentially across the board in your watch list, right? And then it ranks them however you want to rank them. So now you can re-rank the entire list by whatever metric is most important to you. If you're bearish, click bearish. Now it takes, because you're now using two possible filters, it's looking through your watch list only at bearish possible positions, and then you can rank sort filter inside of here. If you're neutral, you're like, you know what? I don't care about direction. Great. Click neutral. It'll pull only iron condors across your entire list. Now, what's cool about it, and look at this one right here. This one shows you how like granular we're getting with the analysis. This top one here, this one that's at least at the top right now, is the 63.64 put spread and the 69.70 call spread. This one right below just adjusted the put legs by $1. So like, what if the 62.63? How does that shift and change? You make a little bit less money, but you have a higher probability of profit, right? So now you can see how granular this stuff is going every single minute that it's running during the day. It is literally shifting things sometimes by $1 in strike to see if just a one strike difference might create a better trading opportunity that you like. So you can do watch list and then neutral. If your watch list also has a bunch of ETFs, right? A bunch of things or a bunch of stocks, you can do watch list, neutral, ETFs only. That's it. And notice, by the way, because I clicked ETFs, now the list has resorted because now it's 1 minute later, and now some other things are better trading opportunities right now, okay? So if you want only ETFs, go ahead, do your watch list, neutral. If you want to do just my watch list, all ETFs, neutral, bullish, all types of trades, right? Iron condors, put spreads, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, do that, right? And you can go in here and say like, oh, I just want to see them all. So you uncheck these and you see them all. You can also do something like high IV, right? There's nothing with high IV right now on my watch list, but if I uncheck my watch list and I go high IV, you can see these are all securities that have IV rank over 50, okay? These are all not ETFs because there's no ETFs right now with high IV, but if you wanted to make a high IV trade, you could do that. And the last thing that you can do here, once you get through this list, and this is how I would start looking at it, and we'll add a couple filters here as we go. But the last thing here, last two things you can do is you can sort the entire list by days to expiration, which is bananas, I think, right? So if I don't want to trade near-term trades, I can just say I want everything but 1 to 10 days. So I want to exclude 1 to 10 days and only look at trades that expire 11 to 45 days, right? Or somewhere around there, like 45, 46, 47 days, right? Sometimes it runs a little bit over. Great, that's awesome. Now I've filtered out all short duration stuff. If I want to remove that filter, I can come in and say, you know what? Actually, I only want trades that expire in the next like 1 to 10 days. Now I can go in here and I can say, okay, these are the trade opportunities that I want, maybe short-term scalping type trade opportunities. And notice you bunch of you gamblers, you guys are loving these short-term trades in some of these, right? But you start to see like this is where people are starting to trade, is starting to trade in this range, right? Starting to build some trades there. And then the last thing that you can do if you want to, and you can go really crazy with this, is you can try to add as many of these as possible. You can say all of these. And then you can say, I want to completely avoid earnings. So if you are willing to trade stuff that's non-ETF, you can just go here and avoid earnings. What that means is that it won't bring up any possible trade ideas that expire after earnings. So all trade ideas would expire before earnings are announced. Or on the opposing end, if you want to trade something that reports in the next 1 to 10 days, tell it. Like tell the system, hey, I want to trade something that reports in the next 1 to 10 days or something that reports in the next 11 to 20 days. Just tell it what you want to do. I want to completely avoid it or I want to trade through it. It's up to you. We give you the choice to do both. The other idea and the other way that you can do it, and this is how I'll start this now, just so you can see, okay? Let's say that you find something. This is actually a really fun one for me, okay? Let me go back to my screener here. And if I rank everything on my watch list by like biggest momentum in the last 3 months, there's just one way to do it. There's a million ways to skin this cat. One thing that has stuck out on my list for sure is QQQ, right? QQQ has had a monster run in the last 3 months. Do you guys see this? Monster run. I don't know if this is the end of the run or not, but it's been up 13% in the last 3 months. So to me, I look at that and I say RSI is high and coming down. QQQ has had a huge run up. Maybe there's a trade in here. Okay, IWM might be the same. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you how I'm going to find my trade today. Okay, whatever kind of suits your fancy. If you have something that you are looking at and then you want to go find a trade in that ticker, I'm going to show you how to do that. Does that help? So I want to make a trade in QQQ. That's the one I'm going to do today with you guys here is make a trade in QQQ. Okay, so if I go to trade ideas, what I can do now is I can type in QQQ. This is the coolest thing for me in the whole world because now I can say, forget all the filters. I don't want to filter anything. I specifically want to look at QQQ. So I filter that first. And then I say, okay, I want to focus on the maybe 11 to 20 and 21 to 30 days in QQQ. And I am bearish because that's what I am. Now I have a really solid list to start with. I am not gut instinct, rodeo cowboy, slinging stuff against the wall, hoping and praying that something works out. I have a consolidated, focused list that's based on data and math right now that I can work from. I typed in QQQ, I focused the timeline that I wanted to trade, and I told trade ideas I'm bearish on QQQ. Now, from here, it's up to you. There's lots of opportunities here. Lots of different ways that you could do this. If you are a small trader, like just getting used to this and want to do a trade, a really cool way to sort is to resort the list by max loss. This will focus on really narrow strikes that you can select with really good setups. And maybe you look at those trades first. Just resort the list by the smallest max loss possible. Right? So that you know, hey, if I get into this trade, the max loss is around $100 or so. That's what some of these top opportunities are. So maybe I am comfortable taking, let's say, this trade here, which has a little bit higher probability of profit. The max loss might be a little bit higher, but it maybe kind of fits my wheelhouse a little bit better. Okay. So you go in and you start analyzing that trade. Another way that you could do it is you could do it for probability of profit. That's another way to do it. A lot of people do it this way. Obviously, do you guys see? Like, I see what you guys are doing. You're doing it like this because you're sorting the list by probability of profit. You want those high probability of profits. But sometimes that also means that it comes with a lot of risk or you're not going to make a lot on the position. And that's okay if you're willing to make that trade-off, whatever works for you. You can also resort the list by alpha, which tries to normalize some of these things and tries to figure out, okay, what might the potential best opportunity be in this bunch? And let's say it's something like this. When you have something that you want to analyze, all you have to do is simply click on the trade. For me, it would be maybe something like this. So I click on that trade. The first thing that I am going to look at, and the first thing you guys should look at, is you should look at the spread on that trade, right? The bid-ask spread on that trade. Sometimes trade ideas will surface that have wide spreads, right? And that's okay because we're taking mid-price and we're trying to figure it out. That's on you to kind of like figure out what is a comfortable spread to you. That doesn't mean that it has to be 2 cents wide or 5 cents wide. We're not going to filter it for you guys. I'm drawing this to your attention so you can take a look at it and see for yourself, right? That's something that might have a wider spread. Let me just look at this, right? Like this is a pretty wide spread. For HYG, I just took off the QQQ here, and just the top one here is HYG. Now, that particular one doesn't mean you can't fill at 31. You might be able to fill at 31. right? There's some liquidity, there's some open interest at the strikes that it's selected. So you might be able to fill at 30 or 31, but the spread's a little bit wider. And you just have to be cognizant of that. It could happen on a short expiration, and the longer expirations have better liquidity, right? So it could just be like moving to a different contract has much better liquidity, right? Or going to a shorter one has better liquidity, right? It doesn't have to be that these symbols are bad and these symbols are good, okay? But just check on them and look at them. That's all I'm asking. If you open up a position, so let me go back to my position here and open it up. When you open up the position, you will see that it has the mid price, which is what everything's based off of. So every 5 seconds, these prices are changing 20 times a minute so that you get the most updated information, okay? So you can see, even though we might have analyzed it a minute ago, right? This is now updating every 5 seconds and flowing as we go. But that's good because you get all of the most important information like your max probability of profit, your max loss, your break evens, etc. And this is where you can do some even more wicked analysis. So here's what I would do in here. I sometimes will not take the exact trade idea. That's just me. I might shift my strikes $1 here and there if I wanted to. Now, some people are going to take the exact trade idea. That's okay. But notice that we can shift these strikes and adjust the probabilities as we go. Do you guys see that? How I'm just massaging the probabilities and the strikes to something that kind of fits what I want. So you don't have to, of course, you're always in control. You can look at that trade idea as like the first generation of a trading opportunity, and then you can adjust these strikes to fit what you want. So if I go in here now and I reload this, right, I might go in here and say, you know what, I want that long call to be at 110. And if I did, here's what it does to my probabilities. If I move that long call out to 111, here's what it does to my probabilities. You make that determination for yourself, okay? Now, I'm kind of okay with this. Let me just move up the long calls, just maybe 2 strikes, to the 1309, something like this. I think the 309 was actually one available. Yeah, like something like this. So I might click on this trade idea. 58% chance of making max profit, 61% chance of being below my break even. I like this trade as a base trade. I'm not suggesting you do this. It's just a trade that I'm going to make. I'm going to place a trade trying to fill this around something like this. So the last 2 things that we have to do before you place the trade, what I'm doing here is going through this really slow so you understand it. There's 2 other things we have to do. 1, we have to select our order details. This is how we want the order to go to our broker. So if you're with Tradier or TradeStation or TD Ameritrade, like how do you want the order to go to the broker? So I'll say 1 contract. I'll put my limit, my final price, somewhere around where the mid price is. Now, this is where you can kind of play around with it a little bit, and you might, if you really want to get filled, then you obviously put your final price at a point that would probably get filled. That doesn't mean that smart pricing is not going to try more prices, but you probably say, like, look, the mid price is 109, so I'm willing to get filled at least 108. Like, that's the lowest I'll go. Final price is the last price that the bot will try when filling the trade. If it's the only price available, it will try that price. If there are better prices in the spread above it, it will try more prices. And that will be the last one it will try. Then you have to select how you want smart pricing to work. Do you want to use normal, which is up to 4 prices, or fast or patient? You can turn it off and it will send a limit order for just that final price. If you want to use a market order, which I do not suggest you use, but some people want it, we add it. I will never use them myself. You can send a market order. That means that it will fill at any price, the next available price. I do not suggest you do that. Once you set your order details, that's how you tell Option Alpha, hey, this is how we want to send the orders over to the broker. The last thing that you have to do now is you have to set your automation. Now, this is arguably the easiest part and also the coolest part, which is that now the new way of trading is not just let the position go into the great unknown and you hope to remember to manage it and you hope to close the position before expiration and you hope you check for your stop loss and profit target. That is the old way of trading. The new way of trading is to tie the position to automation. Now, you can do a lot of automation or you can do a little bit of automation. but you have to put the trade into a bot. A bot is just a shell that can start to run and manage the position. You could think of your bot as a little tiny manager of your portfolio, okay? Now you can put the position into any existing bot that you have. If you've got room in the bot, right? Then you can put that position and say, hey, I want this position to go into my, I don't know, like Hexabot for QQQ, which I don't. But you could select that position, say, if this trade fills, put it into that bot. That's where it goes. Or you could build a brand new bot and just spin up an empty canvas for this trade to go into. The bot is just a shell. So you say, my new QQQ bot, or whatever you want to call it. You connect it to a live account like Tradier. You give it an allocation, which is just the shell of the bot, the total capital the bot has. This position will still go in as one contract, but you just give it a home to live in. You can spin up a new bot and then create that bot right here. What I've done, and I'll show you this here next too, but what I've done is I've already created bots that are just called Kirk's Trade Ideas. I have trade ideas for scalping. I have trade ideas, regular trade ideas. I have hybrid trade ideas. So I stick my trades into a bot just called Trade Ideas. These are not automated strategies. They're not my Hexabots or my trendy short put spread or any of that stuff. These are just one-off trade ideas that I find that I want to go into its own home. So I just create a new bot that's just specifically for trade ideas. There's a lot of ways we can do this. I'm going to give you some ideas on it after we go. But it doesn't matter where it goes, but the trade has to live in a bot so that it's connected to an account and so that the bot can run and manage the automations for exiting or managing the position for you. Here is how exit options work. Exit options are things that you can set. Exit options are your preset automated exit choices for that position. So you know how when you used to trade, you used to have to remember, okay, I got to close this thing at a 50% profit or maybe a stop loss or before expiration or whatever. Those days are gone. Now what you do is you set your exit options when you get into the trade. And what this does is that it forces you, and think about what it does to you like psychologically. It forces you to have a plan before you get into a trade versus just shooting from the hip, which never seems to work out. So now you remove the emotion, you set your exit options, and those exit options will be checked every minute that the bot or that the trade is open. So for my exit options, I could set something like, I want to take profits at 50% of the credit. So if I take in a credit of $1, when the position gets to 50 cents, I want to take profits. And that's completely automated. Then exit options will start sending pricing to your broker to try and get you out at that profit-taking level or better. By the way, the profit-taking level automatically makes sure that it locks in your profit. That doesn't mean it's going to fill. It just means that it's going to try those orders that lock in that profit. And it'll keep trying over and over and over again if the conditions are still there, trying to get you out for a profit. If I wanted to use a stop loss, which I do not use, but say I did want to use a stop loss, I could say, if the value of the position goes negative 150% of the credit, then I want to send really fast pricing and I want to allow the bot to go 105% of the bid-ask spread because I got to make sure that I get it out. And then before expiration, I want to exit the position 1 day before expiration and I want to use patient smart pricing and I only want to try 90% of the bid-ask spread. And it will just keep trying to exit that position for that amount. So all of those are now preset for my exact position that I'm entering right now. I have all of the management taken care of. So if you've never seen exit options before, do you see how this is able to get you into, allow you to enter a trade, but then it starts to bridge the gap of automated trading because you're presetting your exits. Speaking of presets, you can save these as a preset. You can save these settings so you don't have to redo them over and over again. You can say like my default or short call spread settings. Whatever you want to do, you can save it as a preset. Notice I've got a couple of presets that I've been using here and you can load those up too. So you do this once, save it as a preset, then it's good to go and you're all set. I'm going to save this as a default and I'm going to take out the stop loss because I don't want to use a stop loss. So once I'm good to go here, then I hit save. Now my entire trade is completely filled out. The pricing is adjusted a little up here because I've been blabbing and talking for a little bit. So I'll adjust this up and say, all right, and let's go really aggressive here. I want to get in. My last price is 213. Mid price is 212 right now. I might be able to get in or not. Let's go up to 214. Once I'm good to go here, and this is connected to my live TradeAir account, by the way. So this bot is connected to my live account. So when I hit place trade, it is going to start placing the trade and sending it over. Now, what you can do here is you can view the position and see how the position is working. Notice we have details like opening position, right? It's trying to open the position. And then if you click on the trade details itself, you can see the different prices that it's trying. So in this case, I used normal smart pricing, which the spread was pretty tight. So it only was able to try one extra price. And now it's sitting at the 214, which was the last price I was willing to accept. Now I'm doing this on purpose because I want to show you guys how, and I hope it doesn't fill and we can retry this, okay? But you can see that at the time I sent the order, the estimated price being able to get into was probably 209. So, or like maybe somewhere 209, 210, 211, somewhere in there, right? So I'm probably not going to get filled on this trade, okay? And I can just sit and it'll work for a little bit and it'll potentially fill or maybe not fill in this case, and then I can retry the position, okay? But this is where you can see exactly what it's doing, okay? So we'll sit here, maybe let's talk a little bit. We'll come back to this position here in a bit, but once this position cancels out and smart pricing has tried and the orders have canceled, we can just retry it at a different price, which is what I've done all the time. Like I send a bunch of orders in and then I will retry the price. All right, so let's see. Did this position fill or refresh? No, this position did not fill. So if I go to my closed or canceled positions, you can see here that my short call spread was canceled right here, right? It tried and tried and tried, and as we expected, did not fill. Okay, do you guys see that? I just go here to my close canceled positions. Right here, the status, the latest status for this position, and this is in TradeAir, is that it didn't fill. Okay, it tried and tried and tried, didn't fill. If I want to retry this position, which is what you might have to do if you're really conservative with pricing or not aggressive enough in pricing, you just go here and hit this button to retry the position. And guess what it does? It brings up all of your stuff all over again. It sets it in the right bot. It sets your exit options that you selected. The only thing you have to select now is you have to set your final price again, because you could be retrying the position an hour later or 2 hours later or whatever, right? So you have to set the price. Like we can't determine the price for you. You have to set that final price. So I'll say here, okay, I'm willing to go to 211 this time. Mid price is 213. Let's place the trade this time. And we'll probably, I would hope we would probably, yeah, we got filled right away on this position. So you can see down here in the trade screen, it tried 211, which was mid price, filled right away. Okay, on the position. Maybe I could have gone a little bit higher, but now I have a live position open. That's a short call spread, 61% chance of being below my break even. I'm taking profits at 50%, right? And it closing the position when it expires in 1 day. Right now, there's 30 days to go till expiration. Now I've found a trade idea from Trade Ideas, put it into just a bot shell, but I have all the management for this position tied up right here. That's it. And all I'm hoping for is I'm hoping I get to the 50% profit sometime between now and 30 days. And if I don't, and I let the probabilities work out for trades like this all the time, I still have a 61% chance of making money. I'm totally good with that type of trade. All day, every day, sign me up. I'll do that type of trade all day, every day versus hunch, guess, maybe it's going to work out types of trades. Let me show you guys how this works with bots, okay? Let me filter here for trade ideas. I'm going to unfilter this, okay? Actually, let me show you this so you can see how it works when trade ideas go in. I'll just use my scalp trade from yesterday. So this trade yesterday, look, I tried to enter the trade, canceled the order at 42, okay? Just this is live trades. Canceled the order at 42. I tried at 42. I got into the trade, and actually, I think the contract, trade price was 41, so I bumped it down by 41. I opened the position yesterday via Trade Ideas at 1148. I put the profit taking at 15%. By the time it got to 15% with all the Powell comments and stuff like that, it actually closed the trade for a 26.8% of credit profit. That's good. Like that's like less than an hour. And I will not put a ton of my capital doing this. I just want to make 100% abundantly 1,000,000% clear. This is like, I'm using this because I like to have a little fun with stuff too, and I like to do it. So this will be like a small $50 trade. And that's all I was looking at. It's like, look, if it runs a little bit on Powell's comment, I wanted to run a little bit on Powell's comment, take a quick little profit. It was good, high probability setup regardless of whether it would do that or not. And so that's what I try to do. Now, look, if I go back to my bots that I have here, if I unselect all these, what I do with my bots, and you guys can or can't do, don't have to do this if you want to, is I tag my bots for the different things that they do. Like all my hexabots, I tag as hexabot. All my trade ideas bots that are hybrid or single trade idea like bots, I tag them as trade ideas. What I want to show you now is I want to show you how you can organize and compartmentalize some of your trade ideas. This is not how you have to do it. It is an idea, a concept, a framework that you could use, and you could expand on this if you want to. Here's how I plan on doing it, is kind of organizing it like this, but that doesn't mean that it will stay this way or whatever. So one way that you can do it is you can put everything, all your trade ideas, into one bot called Trade Ideas. So far, that's what I generally do. I put them into something called Trade Ideas, and Trade Ideas is just an empty bot. It has no automations, but I give it some position limits, and I enable, and these are enabled by default, so you have to disable them by default, but I leave it enabled for exit options. So this bot is still managing my positions right here. So all the positions that I have open, it's still managing those, but I'm not adding any extra automations to them. That's one way you could do it. So if you want here, you can go to your tags for your bot, and you can tag this Trade Ideas. You can remove the tag Trade Ideas, retag it Trade Ideas, me, not me. The other way that you can do it is you can do it like this, which is you can have a bot that you tell the bot, like, and just this is just so you know, I will only trade TLT in this bot. That's it. I won't trade anything else in this bot. It has no automations. It's just Trade Ideas just for TLT. And then you can tag it Trade Ideas and TLT. That's one possible way to do it. So you could have a QQQ bot and a TLT bot, and these are all your trade ideas so you can see. And the reason I like doing it, potentially something hybrid like this, is because I want to start tracking how I do with my own trade ideas. Like we track what we do with regular bots and regular strategies, but now what I want to do is I want to only trade TLT. So if I have a bot called only TLT, then what I would do is when I go to trade ideas, and I find a TLT position, and I'll just click on a position like this, then what I do down here when I select the bot is I go down to Trade Ideas for only TLT. Do you guys see that? So that this TLT position lives in that TLT bot. And now my life is organized and things are in sequence. Here's another way you can do it. Here's two other examples. You can have trade ideas that are short duration or long duration. So this shell is only trade ideas that expire in 20 to 30 days. This is not going to be ticker specific. It's not going to be like TLT only or just ETFs. Nope. Another way you could organize it is trade ideas that expire in 20 to 30 days. So if you go to Trade Ideas and you filter these for 20 to 30 days, right? Something like this, and you say ETFs, and then you find a trade, guess where this one goes? This one goes in Trade Ideas 20 to 30 days. And you could spin up a bot to do this really quick. You could say Trade Ideas 20 to 30 days, boom, 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 right? And you can compartmentalize it that way if you want to. All right, now last one, I promise this one's going to start to blow your mind. Look, this one is going to start, we're going to start getting more advanced now, but nothing that is worth doing is easy. If you want to take this to the next level, what you can do is you can start doing hybrid trade idea bots. These are all good ideas that we just went through. No doubt. You can have one trade idea bot, organize them however you want. But I think a different way to do it, potentially better way to do it, is to do a hybrid trade idea bot. And here's how that would work. Let's say I like to enter a bunch of iron condors. Well, I can make a bot that says iron condors. That's pretty easy. Now, inside this particular bot, if I go to the settings, I can start to add automations to this bot. Think about this. I don't have to have a scanner in a bot that enters positions. Maybe this particular bot is set up so that it accepts new trade ideas that I throw into it manually, and I still have exit options on those, but now I have extra monitor automations that will also run. I want to enter an iron condor position, and I can set my exit options for that iron condor position, 50% profit, exit 1 day before expiration, whatever. But what if I also want to manage iron condors differently? What if I want to check and see if the iron condor is challenged and exit on challenge too? Well, that's not a traditional exit option that we're going to check every minute, but that doesn't mean that you can't add a monitor automation to your bot that checks to see if the position is challenged. So what you do is you say, look, I'm going to add positions to this. I call it a hybrid because it's kind of hybrid, like manual plus automated, like super, super automated. But what you're doing is you're stacking additional monitor automations on top of this. So now when you enter a manual iron condor position, and we'll do it here together, then you can also run a monitor automation every 50 minutes to see if the position is challenged. And if the position is challenged, you could close it. Challenged in this case means, is the underlying symbol above my short call strike or below my short put strike? Like if that was a criteria for you to want to close a position, some people don't ever want to trade iron condors when the position gets challenged. Now you can do that. You can add like a little piggybacked, very simple monitor automation to it. Or you can remove it. You can say, you know what? I don't want to do that in addition to whatever I'm doing. You could also add smart stops. Add it as a monitor automation. It will still track the high. Repeat through each iron condor position. Set your target and your smart stop trailing. And if it ever gets hit, in addition to your exit options, whatever triggers the close order first will send the close order first. If I go into trade ideas and I'm entering a neutral position in an ETF, it's got to be on my watch list. I want to do something 20 to 45 days, right? I'll sort by probability of profit. Let's just find a trade like this, okay? Let's say I want to do this iron condor trade, okay? Tight spreads, okay, good to go. 155. Look, I'm just setting this up. Put this into my trade ideas, and let's do my trade ideas for iron condors. I'm going to set my exit options. I already have a preset for iron condor management, so I just select that preset, and then I hit save, and then I place trade. Now that trade is going to go into that bot. So if I go over to this bot, the same iron condor hybrid trade, then I have this trade working, and it's trying to fill that particular trade. So it's still working, right? And this is where I can keep tabs on it, whatever. One other example is short put spreads. So you could have a hybrid trade ideas bot. It has no positions right now, no history, no nothing. Inside the settings, I have a lot of automations. This is taking it, again, another degree. Like you can just use exit options and that's great. And I use exit options for everything now, right? That's like the default. But if you want to do even more, if you do, then you could set up additional monitor automations to handle all of those different scenarios. So here's what I do here. So I have 4 automations here. The first is to exit the short put spread if it's challenged. Notice it's set up specifically for short put spread. So whereas the other monitor automation was set up to check iron condors, this one is set up to check put spreads specifically. That's why I'm like compartmentalizing these and organizing my bots to do this. If I want to turn this on and I want to turn that switch on, yes, I want to exit if it's challenged, great, turn it on. I also have smart stops in here. So maybe my exit options that I set for trades that go in here are default exit positions at 50%. That might be your default for exit options. But you could set a smart stop target of 40% and trail by 10%, which means that if you set exit options on a new position coming in to 50%, then exit options will check every minute for 50% profit. And if you ever get to 50% profit, boom, done, out, and you're done. But what happens between 0 and 50%? That's where you could do a monitor automation using smart stops. And you could say, look, once I get to 40% profit, I don't want to exit the position yet, but I want to start trailing it by 10%. So that if it gets to 40% and then it goes back down to 30%, get me out. Now the monitor automation would get you out at that point, not the exit option because that triggered first. So now you have both of these working together with your bots. You can do these possible combinations if you want to. And what I always try to think about is like set up all the different ways in which you would want to get out and then let these things work together. If you just want to use exit options, great. But it will only get out if you reach 50% profit. Why not layer on top of that some other monitor automations that do something else? So you set that. Then what you could also do, and this is what's really fun, if you have, let's say, a short put spread, why not add a monitor automation that would potentially hedge the short put spread? Now, in this case, you might want it, you're either going to use challenged exit or hedging. So you got to choose one or the other and delete one that you don't want. But now you have one that's like, hey, watch this short put spread. If the position's underlying price is below my short put strike, which means what? I'm challenged, right? And the position expires in less than the number of days that I set. Like maybe you don't want to hedge the position until you're inside 10 days or something, or 5 days or whatever. But if those are true, tag the position, because I like to tag the position so I know what's going on. Check and see if the bot already has a short call spread. Maybe it's already hedging, so there's no need to hedge it again. And if not, open a short call spread for the same expiration with the short call leg $1 above the short put leg and the long call leg $10 above. So look, set what you want here. Position size, you would do same quantity as position. How do you want the orders to go over? How do you want to set exit options for this call spread? Okay, I'll set exit options at 50% of credit, and then it can back out of the call spread if you want to. But look, modify and adjust this to whatever you want. But now what you're doing is you're using trade ideas to get into a trade. You're putting it in a bot that already has automations and management strategy built into it, however you want to build it, to hedge the position. And then you hedge the position. Now take it one step further. I think through your positions. Your bot here is called Hybrid Trade Ideas for Short Put Spreads. But now you've added a monitor automation that can enter a call spread and convert it into an iron condor, iron butterfly. So what do you need to do? You need to add a monitor automation to monitor that short call spread. Unless you just want to default to exit options. You can do that too. You can default to exit options, but you could also default to no exit options and you can monitor it traditionally. And you could do a bunch of crazy stuff like if the position premium goes down by 90% or whatever. Is that cool? So you could do a combination. You don't have to use the call spread manager, but what I want you to do is just to like really think through. If you're going to add hedging, make sure you add management for that hedging too, unless you're going to manage it. If you're going to manage it, that's okay. You can do that. But just make sure you include some of these things as you go. For the record, and so it's on the recording so I can send it to somebody in the future, because in 2 years from now, somebody's going to be like, hey, I just turned this thing on and it was like, it did all this crazy stuff. I am going to add all of these to the template. Please pick and choose which ones you want. I already said you can't have close, short put spread if challenged with hedging. You have to choose one or the other. And then adjust the settings in there for what you feel is appropriate for you or the type of strategy that you might trade. But I hope what you got out of this like more advanced part was that trade ideas in and of itself is cool. But now when you start pairing this up with the existing tech stack that you have with monitors and bots and whatever, you can take trade ideas and feed lots of really, really good ideas into bots that are set up to manage them completely and utterly exactly how you want. If you do have any questions on anything, please let us know, post in the community. If you thought this was helpful, please send this to your friends. That's literally how we grow. Let's get some more minds in here, some more traders that are like you guys. Let's get some more people in here. So send this to your friends, get some more people in there. Just share Option Alpha, tell them to come in here with you guys and do this. That way you can send bots and ideas and stuff like that back and forth to each other. All right, have a great rest of your trading week. If you need anything at all, please let us know. Until next time, happy trading. Take care.